Welcome back to the Summer 2014 North American Challenger Series playoffs. Game 3 between Team Coast and Team LawPro is just about to get underway. You just saw the man of the match a second ago, Lod, there in the mid lane for LawPro, putting that game on his back, tying it 1-1.
Oh yeah, definitely a warranted celebration by him there at the very end of the game. Heart was probably beating in his chest. You can probably stop and then still feel that feeling. It's very exhilarating. Yeah,
he played freaking amazing. Now, I guess a lot of people on LawPro do still get credit for playing a good game. Hanser, want to talk about him, though he didn't have the best individual score on Nidalee there. The fact is he's been doing great repeatedly here against Rux. You can see the CS differential right there, bullied on Nidalee the whole time.
Yeah, a sub-1 KDA for him, 2-5-1, but at the same time, the 92 CS difference and the fact that he took that top lane turret, took both of the tier 2 top lane turrets, and freed that lane for Lod to do his work.
Yep, and it was wonderful. Of course, Lod himself, 5-2-2 on Zed that game. He was awesome. I guess Koob said he might get the champion again. He thinks Golden Clue can handle it. I just don't think you let LawPro's best player get a playmaker. I just think as much as you think you can deal with something on the one-on-one, just don't let that happen again.
Yeah, he's having a good time, though.
Yeah,
he's having
he is
a really
happy.
Good time.
He knows.
He knows. Everybody saw that, so.
Yeah. Well, the thing is as well, what I like about this is our spectators always tell the players when they're on camera, so they know we're focusing on them. And they've all watched LCS. They know when we talk about players, like, you either did something amazing or something really dumb. Lod know he did something amazing. So it's like, hey, you're on camera. And he's like, yeah, I am. You're darn right I'm on camera right now. That game was all me.
Oh, man. I don't know if he will get the Zed again, though. Because
I think he shouldn't.
Because they are going to be on red side this time.
Yeah.
So there will be a ban, most likely on Zed. They'll probably have to ban Nidalee away for themselves or will be first picked by Coast.
I wonder.
Because there's a high priority on that champion for both top laners. And Rux, he wants to be on something comfortable because they are definitely kind of putting a dagger in him and then twisting it and thinking that he's the weak point of the team.
Thing is, what I want to look at, though, is the pick and ban antics. Because you're right that you can spend all your bans, right? Get rid of Sheep's threat. Like, I'm thinking about LawPro right here, right? They're on red side. You kind of think they're under pressure to get the bans right. You've got to get rid of Sheep's Thresh. You consider getting rid of Golden Glue's Yasuo. You consider, you know, yeah, maybe you ban that Nidalee, maybe you ban the other things, but I feel like you can leave like Zed and Nidalee and Ziggs up and be like, we're going to get a good comp out of our first 2 picks.
And then you make the comp around that.
Right, whatever you get, you just go hard for it. So the Maokai dropped away by Rux. Now they have banned Alistar every single game. They've added Nidalee to the list. Will it be 3 top lane bans against Hanser now?
You just saw Hanser there on your screen for half a second. He was laughing at that. He was having a good time. He's like, I'm pulling bans, guys. I'm doing my work.
You'd already been pulling 2.
Yes.
Coast thinking, do we make it 3? Do we add Ziggs? Do we add Zed? Right.
The Z champions right now.
Alistar or Zed, I think, is the conversation right now. Zillion is actually the conversation.
The other Z? Okay,
well, he just typed in the letter Z and clicked whatever he saw. Ziggs does go away. Rux actually will pick up Alistar here. I don't know if that's a Rux champion or Sheep champion, though. Neither's played it so far.
Yeah, considering Sheep, type of player that he is, I think it would be a Sheep champion. He loves Thresh, he loves engagement champions.
Well, Zed's still left up, and Golden Glue, I remember when he first joined Dignitas back last split, very first game was on Zed, I believe, had a freaking gigantic performance in that one.
I thought it was on Orianna.
I think his first game was actually Zed. Then he went for an Ori string. And I remember talking to, I think it was Scar, and he's like, hope they don't realize his champion pool is basically just Zed. And the thing is, but at the time, though, like he was only going to bring Zed in the LCS, and he actually grabs the Yasuo there, does leave Zed up, so Koobs is right. Top lane Lulu, I think, is there for Rux. I think that is a Sheep Alistar. I think neither's played it a lot in solo queue, so still an interesting situation. Of course, we've seen the Kazakhs go 3 times now in a row to Heaven Time. The Nunu is there for Santorum whenever he wants it. Lod now going to play Orianna, though. Doesn't he want the Zed himself?
But I like this, that they're going to make an adjustment here. There's a team fighting composition on Team Coast already in the works, and they're going for knockbacks, knock-ups to set up Yasuo and Golden Glue. He didn't get multi-man ultimates that game.
Well, keep in mind, part of what made that one so difficult was that Rux was not unlocked to roam around the map. He wasn't available to really make these plays and get the easy setups. So now they've got Alistar and Vayne to make these plays much more easily. They identify that Mash has been doing well for himself as so far in this series to give him a hyper carry in Vayne, someone self-sufficient, someone who can handle the split push.
And here's the thing about Vayne, too, is that Mash, I've always regarded him as a top-tier Vayne player. His Vayne mechanics are fantastic.
Yes.
he is one of those guys that the first time I saw him, I think he was playing Vayne. And when we saw him, he was on Coast previously, back when it was an LCS team, a long time ago. Then when Fusion came in after him and like brought the Varus. But he was always a premier Vayne player. And in fact, he's going to have a Nunu behind him, and the peel of Alistar, even just, this looks like a Yasuo composition, but it could easily become
a Vayne composition. And what I like about this team comp is the fact that it's so well-rounded. I think much better than last game's Coast comp, because now it's not as reliant on Rux being unlocked. Coast could look very strong here, and I want to see what weaknesses LawPro does find within it, because this looks pretty good. Now, LawPro does go top lane Ryze here. Hauntzer has been decent so far this tournament. Rux, not as great, so getting Ryze to free farm against Lulu could be wonderful. I also want to see how Lod's Orianna goes.
And there is a lane bully lane here for LawPro in the bot lane. You have Lucian with Braum.
Yeah.
Paired up against an Alistar with a Vayne. So you're going to have to watch out in this bottom lane and see what happens. Can Signature get an early lead off of some Braum Qs from Patoy? Take it to Mash.
I feel like Mash is going to be safe here. Yeah. Headbutt gets people out of the way. You've got Sustain from Alistar, and I think it just unlocks Vayne to farm all game, and then be a split push threat, because that's a really good way to play the champion. So from what I see so far, it looks good for Team Coast, but we'll see as the game goes on. Now that the series is all tied up, let us know once again who you think will take it all. Tweet your vote to @LOL Esports with either hashtag CSTwin or hashtag ProWin, and we will tally your votes during the game. Want to guess again?
No. The fans have been right both times.
They have been right every single
right
time. You guys online are freaking smart. Props to you guys for hanging out. Guys in the crowd as well. Always wonderful to have you guys around. They know they're wonderful as well.
You don't need to tell them that.
It's true. But I just like to remind people of things they already know, such as, you look dumb. Getting ourselves now.
I was like, where's he going to go?
The insult to Zyrene, of course, is Game 3 is here. As you can tell by the screen up there, Coast and LawPro 1-1 in this series in a best of 5. I'm just kidding, Zyrene. You're a cool bro.
Don't worry, man. I'm all good.
You're a cool bro either way.
I'm all good.
Yep. I got you. Best of 5. Winner goes to the Spring Promotion Tournament. Loser goes home one series away from making it. Very sad, I'm sure.
Golden
Dance
blue.
off the mid lane. Not actually part of who wins this game, by the way. It looks pretty, but has no bearing on the outcome.
I just love this music.
It's so calming.
I remember a time I killed a man. It was brutal.
Really? Do tell me more.
All over my hands. I told him to stop, but he kept jumping on my sword. And that's the end of my tale. Boom!
Oh! LCS big plays. The story is the exact right duration. Zyrene for the Challenger MVP here in this best of 5. Mash and Cheat will take to the bottom lane. Looks like normal lanes right here. Oh!
That would have been really hashtag pain mechanic.
I don't think it's actually possible.
If he tumbled into a wall to get the reset.
Into the wall, yeah, you're right. If he got it into the wall, he'd be getting that one.
Speeds up the animation just a tiny bit.
Yeah, you get it immediately. You can shoot directly. There's no actual tumble animation if there's nowhere to go.
Very calm start.
Well, after that story though, I don't know if I want to.
It was a brutal story told in a calm manner. It's really weird.
He could have flashed into the wall to Q into the wall. Yep. If Mash had flashed, he could have killed that ward. So could Sheep probably to get the auto down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't even think about that.
I don't think a flash is worth that little gold.
That's what you think. That's what you think.
I guess flash just has a very subjective value on it in terms of gold.
Yes.
So.
It's actually flash isn't worth gold.
Yeah. It's like a diamond. How much value do you really put on it?
How much gold is a diamond worth? That's just very weird.
Hey, that is actually conversion though. You can be like, how much gold is it worth?
Depends on carrots and everything else. Rabbits must be so confused.
That's why they never go jewelry shopping. Anyway. Seeing standard starts here, no invades. Early level 2 though for Coast. So they're able to push this lane bully lane out a bit.
Well, it's going to leave Mash for some farm. Good damage in the Zig. Oh, the Q back. Look at that.
So
that. Oh, the stun lands though. Exhaust already forced. Misplay by Team Coast. A lot of damage comes out from LawPro now.
Wow. Actually, the fans voting in favor of LOLPro there by about 65% after that previous performance, voting against the Summer 1 and 2 champions.
They still believe in LOD right now, and the fact that LOLPro is going to keep this pushing in. Match, though, keeping equal CS so far. Bot lane, aside from the Summoner Spell loss, is still going pretty close. Aw, 2 missed CS there by Mash, though.
And now the jungled games begin. Santorin has a ward in his inventory. What's he going to do with it? Slaps it right down.
Basically that ward always spots wolf camp movements. And so he'll know anytime Heaven Time goes to the right side jungle. There's not a lot of common ways to get to that camp without recalling first. And it should leave tabs on where Heaven Time is trying to go. They know he's topside right now.
Hey, and it's very early on in the game, but Pro have already created a little bit of a gold lead for themselves. There's this stacked up minion, but they keep pushing, and this is kind of what LOLPro does as a whole unit, is they'll push up, and they get this CS lead in the laning phase, which is actually pretty consistent every game.
Well, right now there's a top lane push from Hanser in toward Rux. We've seen the matchup work well for him every single time, but to be fair, there's a lot of minions on the field that Rux could get back.
If you shove it into the turret, it's much harder to get them. It is. Seems to be the name of the game here, but look at this. Another...
Patoy just blocks all of Mash's damage. There's no condemn possible. There's nearly not much damage available. But Santorin, with the red buff, slows up Hanser, forces the flash away. Wow, that is a pretty big detriment for that push. Heaven Time wants to go mid. Not on top of a ward here. Can they take down Golden Glue?
Waiting off on the wings. He saw that Santorin was top Golden Glue.
Wow.
Might go for a ward placement here.
He doesn't have one.
No, he doesn't have one available. He's just going to walk around. He does spot Heaven Time, though.
Okay, so Tyr and Boots are now there for Hanser in the top lane. No summoner spells at all. Did put a pink ward down in his Tri-Brush, and looks like a trinket ward down on the river. He's got about a minute of safety against Nunu. Hanser's otherwise doing a pretty darn good job and is stacking up his Tyr already. Gotta say, that's going to be good for the man. Heaven Time level 4, same as Santorin, so jungle's pretty equal.
And Santorin knows exactly where he is off that ward. Knows the position. It's going to allow him to back. Is he going to have that sight stone? Yes, he does. He will back every time he has sight stone, around that 5-minute mark off of just farming.
Pretty much every single time. So far, so good for Santorin. His ward coverage has been good. They've done a really good job of keeping vision up. Problem is, LOLPro does sometimes play around it really well. And whenever Rux recalls back, actually just right now, he's going to get himself a little bit of a CS deficit now in that top lane. One thing to consider, actually, and I'm not sure who's going to be better here, is the late game team fight power. Because you've got a Yasuo who can be unlocked easily, a blood-boiled Vayne, which, dear lord, is scary.
It's very hard to take down Alistar. There's all these different things.
But Shockwave plus Rise, pretty darn scary.
It's a very durable team from LOLPro. They can go ahead and throw down Patoy, which will even just fortify more of Rise. And Coast, you know, you had to kind of get through Santorin.
I think it's a battle of persistent damage.
Yeah,
honestly.
It really is.
Because you've got a tank and a half on both sides.
That's true. That's true.
Heaven Time comes in, looks like they want the play onto Rux. He does have flash available. He's going to shield the damage, not too much done. Heaven Time's gank does not succeed. Santorin ooh, he's not seen here, going for the early play on Dragon. Yeah, but do they even care at this point? It's going to go down so quickly. Patoy and Zig are coming around. Silverbolts does good damage. Will it force them away? They want this one. The jungler, of course, is very, very far.
Well, they hit Patoy with it.
Yeah, but honestly, Golden was there to defend. There's the flashing gank. The two-man jump in. Dragon goes down, and now Zig is taking damage. Patoy tries to stop it. Shockwave onto Sheep. He is exhausted as well. He has no escapes. That is first blood going over, but it is still Dragon. Heaven Time, does he want this? Jumps in. Not much else. Dragon for first blood. Pretty equal, honestly.
Yeah, it's equal in gold right now across the board. So overall, not a really big advantage for either team.
That's all just very close. Red buff respawn, but looks like LOLPro didn't realize Coast actually started topside here. Heaven Time's going to waste a little bit of time, go back for his own blue. Whatever, he'll be all right. But only level 4, 7 minutes in. He's actually fairly low. Look at some back here, though.
And that Alistar Sheep ended up getting hit by Braum and stunned up, but allowed them to pick up the kill. The Roam, Golden Glue, with the nice ultimate. I think that's one of the first two-man ultimates we've seen from him in his Yasuo.
And you saw how
series.
Easy it was.
Yeah, off the back of Sheep.
Headbutt Pulverize. I think he did flash for it, but it still was just really good by Sheep. I think that's going to be repeatable a lot from Coast, and as soon as Mash gets Ruin King, he's going to be a gigantic threat in fights. I don't know how much LawPro can hold it down. Now, two thoughts to have, though, is one, Ryze, I think, is really good against Vayne. It's impossible to outplay Ryze as Vayne. It's all targeted. He's going to get really good damage down, and that will make Mash's life difficult. On the other side, though, Patoy can block most of that damage by being Braum. That's backwards. He can block Mash's damage, whatever. Basically, yeah, sorry, it's been like 8 hours here, and I'm like losing my ability to use my brain properly, but
you had that ability to start?
Ooh, the shots fired by Zyrene. Nicely done, sir.
I might look stupid, but I'm not actually stupid.
I like how you just admit that you look stupid, by the way. That's when you know you're doing well. You're just like, yep, I'll just take the insult and move forward. Basically, I just think Mash's life's going to be difficult in team fights. That's ultimately the point I'm going for. It's hard to play Vayne against both Orianna and Ryze.
Yes, it's very hard. It's point-click.
Yeah.
Point-click, and it's things that'll stop you and lock you up and stop your damage output. Big dampers, but he does have boosts to his damage output and his sustainability through his team.
If he gets through it, life's good. If Rux holds back Hanser, if Lod misses his shockwave, lots of things can happen. Hanser and Rux still trading back and forth, but it's a battle that seems to be won once again by Hanser, up 13 CS on this late game Ryze, having a great time. Santorin looking for the roam back. LawPro will back off of that.
It's a good ward place down. They're going to have that coverage and see Santorin, and they also know the location of Heaven Time, so both junglers have been spotted on the map and taken account for.
Ward Griffin coming down. Santorin going to back up to his own jungle. Heaven Time goes topside. Pinged out. They know he went on this way.
Yeah, overall, both teams, they're once again playing the laning phase. And last time this happened, it did go in LawPro's favor. No lane swaps, none of that. Not even lane swapping the Vayne lane. They're completely okay with the head-to-head, and that's just the confidence of Coast.
Yeah.
In their laning ability, really.
Well, it's kind of backfiring for themselves, though. They got a dragon, they're down 200 gold. Ooh. Gonna go for another engage. Sheep goes for a bit of damage there, not too much done for himself. There has to back off now. Patoy getting some good damage down, misses the Q. Mash ulti wants this battle. He's gonna dodge, not away from the ulti, and Mash has to run away. Santorin coming by to try to help him out.
There's a TP behind them.
No, those all get stopped out. Looks like Rux and Hanser both canceled TPs.
You're not going, I'm not going.
But it's gonna be still a 3-minute cooldown on both sides. LawPro, so if they got the better of that engage, a great ulti. Stop Mash in his tracks. Patoy looks like he's good on champions more than just Zilean for sure.
Yeah. Patoy has definitely proven his champion pool. He plays a mean Thresh as well. His Nami, his Thresh.
Never gonna play it.
Look at this. Patoy soaking the damage.
Very, very well, but that's a stun into the wall. Absolute zero. The ward comes down late. They missed some damage on Patoy, but he's forced to back away. The flash in. Mash me. 300 health. He has a summoner heal, uses it there. Heaven Time forced away. Signature the same.
Sheep has no mana.
A lot of damage on the Zig. He goes back for the engage. He picks up Mash. He dashes away. Santorin is one hit from dead. He consumes a minion, though. That is a rank 4 consume. Q comes out from Patoy. Sheep trying to bodyguard. He tries to block the shots. Heaven Time's out of mana.
It's just a back and forth. They trade 80 carries in a big brawl there. And now, it's basically, it came down to the mana bars.
It did.
That fight was so long that they were all exhausting every resource they had. From summoner spells.
Spell exhaust.
Oh, yeah. It's just summoner spells and actual resources.
Yeah, there you go. Yours was cleaner than mine. Should leave it to you. Golden Loot back again in the mid lane is losing in CS to Lod. The Orianna player did say he was confident in this matchup. Thought he could beat up Golden Blue. So far, so good on Orianna. Got first blood, got a CS lead. He's gonna be the first to recall. Gonna go for the build we've seen a couple of times actually. Tier for the mana regen. Still gonna go Morella Namicon because he doesn't need Athene specifically. And then also durability out of an eventual Zhonya's off the arm guard.
Yeah, we saw this from Keen the other day, where you want to have the resistances against your lane opponent, but you want to have mana regen enough so that you don't have to get a Chalice. Because Morello by itself actually doesn't cover Chalice.
No. Same MP5, but the unique passive loss is pretty massive.
Both unique passives.
Yeah, true.
Everybody forgets about that one where if you get a killer assist, 15%.
It's a lot of mana. All right, well, Patoy in Heaven Time. Playing defense. Blue buff did go safely to Lod here, and we have a 600 gold game. LawPro, to me, impressing much more than I was expecting them to in this series. Coast were big favorites coming into this tournament in the first place. 12-1 their score in Challenger before making it to the playoffs. And now they're 1-3 in the playoffs themselves. Damage into a lot. Exhaust is used. Golden Glue's got to be careful. Heaven Time comes around, dodges the spikes, flashes away. Good escape by Golden Glue, but still a loss of summoners.
Putting on the moves there. Dodging out from the Void Spikes and making sure that he could dip right back in.
And nice by Lot as well to hold the Shockwave, knowing it could get flashed away from. And now it's still up in case someone wants to contest. Not going to be the case, though. Mid lane turret will go down in LawPro. We're 1,000 gold up. Now they're almost 2,000 gold up.
And there is a dragon available for them at this moment. Santorin off on the side. He doesn't really have too much vision of this pit. They could sweep it and then be able to do the dragon, or at least contest it.
Ward goes down on top of the pink, though. Santorin can't easily defend that.
Yeah, it was pushed in by Sheep and Mash.
The rest of Coast come in.
And Signature had to deal with that wave. So they give up their pink ward coverage.
So sweep used by Heaven Time. 2-minute cooldown, though. Only level 8 for himself. And now we can see LawPro. 1,500 gold up. They've done so far well in this game. And by the way, 40 CS lead for Hanser in the top lane. He is still outplaying Rux every single game, making the things happen. Rux locked up in his lane. Late recall. Wants the Athene soon. And LawPro start up Dragon. Hanser could TP in at any time with Rod of Ages and Tier already done. And in fact, Coast won't even try. LawPro really good in the early game here.
Yeah, LawPro definitely having great objective control, and they're kind of leveraging that bottom lane, and also the fact that Laud still had Shockwave up. You talked about how he held it.
Yep.
It's a great team fighting ability to have around that dragon, and Coast definitely respected that.
Yeah, I absolutely had to. They're looking for the roam now. On this bot lane turret, they think they're still strong with Mash and Sheep, but the problem is LawPro more or less ready for this one. 3v4, Oriana's coming. The bot lane turret might just go down in time. Wind Wall stops counterattack, and that will be an equal turret score. Back to a 2,000 gold game.
Laud's roaming sometimes is just a little delayed. We saw it when he was playing against Curse Academy yesterday. And today, it has happened multiple times. I feel like he's much better suited when he's already in a lane just split pushing as opposed to roaming. His roam timings seem to be delayed behind his enemy. He's always kind of reactionary.
Yeah, he's
forcing.
I completely agree, and honestly, it's looked pretty good for Golden Glue then getting himself out of the lane. Even just showing up because it requires attention. Doesn't show in the scoreline, personally. But people know what's going on. Rux again taking plenty of damage. Hanser has basically spiked up. He's just waiting on time now, but the items he needs, they're there. It's just time.
But here comes Santorin up to the top lane. There is a flash available for Hanser.
And the thing is, Rux can't easily participate. Santorin's going to go in for the slow. Rune Prison comes in. Nice Absolute Zero flashed away from, so no good damage there. But the slow CC chain is going to be rough. Heaven Time wants in. Can he turn this fight around in time? A lot of damage comes across. Good knockup from Rux to keep him safe. Hanser gets away.
Rux getting out with barely any HP. Santorin threw a last Ice Blast at him, and it wasn't enough.
But there's no mana left right now, which means Coast can easily shove this in. Hanser going to have to be very passive out of the turret.
Anybody call for supports?
Matoy shows up. You can last hit those minions. Sheep coming as well. And out they go.
Both supports top. Signature. Is he going to hit him?
Oh, he could have gone for that.
Very, very close there. Over the wall. They kind of swapped it too. It's a lane swap all over. Supports are up top. 80 carries, one mid, one bot. Well,
Golden Glue realized how strong split push Zed was last game. He says, wait a second, Yasuo can do this too. Zed actually have great wave clear, good turret pressure overall. And he's going to make trouble for LawPro here, honestly. I don't know who can easily 1v1 him in a long lane like this.
Yeah, at this point in the game, not really anybody. He's at that one item. Maybe Laud?
Rise, actually. I think Hanser would be the one.
Okay.
If they had to deal with Golden Glue. Right now, he's not putting in too much pressure, and Zig is
not a threat.
Basically farming against it. But if Golden Glue grows a bit more, I think it's on Hanser with a Frozen Heart.
Yeah, and the reason that's on Hanser is because he's keeping Rux down so well all series long. And I hate to do it because Rux is just a guy that has usually been on point with his top laners.
Yep.
But he's just off his laning game the last 2 days.
I agree. 111 CS, 17 minutes. Not a great margin for a lane where he's not even been ganked more than maybe once. But there's other members on Coast, of course.
Yes.
2,000 gold still. Not getting stretched too quickly by LawPro. Yasuo still farming up decently. Vayne's still all right.
Here's the thing, though, is that the rest of the members of Coast try to create leads, but then it's
Oh, round 2 though. Ruck's going to take some damage, but I think it's going to be enough to knock down Hanser. He does not have flash. Full channel absolute zero. Rux ults himself. Hanser's got nowhere to go, and that kill will be picked up by Santorin. And that's some relief desperately needed by Rux here.
Santorin knowing where to gank. He needs to help Rux out in this matchup because it's just going to keep snowballing in Hanser's favor. Ryze scales a lot better than Lulu does.
That's true, and I'm surprised he hasn't shown up a little bit more frequently. Hanser's been pushing most of the time. Hanser doesn't have escapes in general as a champion, but it's finally working out. Now the play for Golden Glue. He goes in, two-man knockup, goes in on Zig and Heaven Time. Can he make this fight work? Dances back across the windmill, flashes to jump through minions, and Golden Glue's going to buy a lot of time. Meanwhile, mid's going to get pushed, and Golden Glue, where can he even go right now, though? Heaven Time's close by. He saw him go to the side. Nice W. Zig's there. There's the kill picked up. 2 crits with the Infinity Edge. And that split push from Golden Glue overextended without wards.
And he ended up using his flash and exhaust and didn't get a kill in return. And they didn't really get a whole lot for it either on heal. Yeah. They ended up getting the top turret, but this was kind of a counterplay after the fact.
Yeah. Good gank by Heaven Time. 0-0-2 so far, making some good plays. Law Pro only up 1,300 now, though. Coast have gotten some pushes working for themselves. And credit to Golden Glue. You know, he is making some moves. He is trying to make the plays. But they need better wards if they want the split push to work. Yasuo does not have the same escape power as someone like Zed. He can't do the same things that Law did last game.
He's going to be putting himself out there. He's much more vulnerable. And he has to use the minion waves like that, but when you dash up a minion wave, you're usually dashing towards the enemy base.
Yes, you are.
Big thing here is we haven't seen any really big team fights that involve all of the team. And Lod hasn't really Shockwave just yet. Looking for opportunities. He's been farming like a madman. He's at the 10 per minute mark right now.
Yeah, Lod's doing great. The Orianna's working out. 1-0-0. Archangel Staff done. Merlin Omicron done as well. Golden Glue sees it again, but Kha'Zix shows up suddenly. What can Golden Glue do? Does not yet have the knockup. He is running away. He was about 2 hits from dead, but he gets away. Santorin there on defense, but Toy showing up though.
There's a hero minion for Golden Glue that helped him get away. Sheep coming to reinforce this turret. You cannot turret dive an Alistar.
Not easily.
He's going to soak up your damage. You're not going to kill him, and he's going to CC you. But look at this, the outplay.
Vlad, though, Exhaust is down, flashes the Q. There's one more command attack there. Mash has to respect Shockwave. He's invisible. Exhaust used for heal and flash from Mashme. That's better for Laud.
Yeah, Laud just couldn't get a ball position, and he wasn't impatient with his Shockwave. That's been him all game.
Yeah, I gotta say, every single time. And you saw the preemptive flash. Mash expected to come out off that Q. And every single time, Laud's like, you have flash, I'll wait. Who's your summoner? Bot lane outer goes down for Signature Dragon as well. LOL Pro looking really good, and Coast haven't been making any good moves this game.
Yeah, they really haven't. LOL Pro, been really coming up, but this might be a good move. 2-on-1 in Signature.
Well, it's going to be easy for Santorin. A good flash dash away by Zig. Does get away from Absolute Zero. He wants the damage, but a great whimsy by Rux means an almost guaranteed kill. That will be Zig going down. Almost at the damage he needed, but not enough. Finally, Coast, they get ganks, but they're not getting team fights.
Yeah, here's the thing, though, is top lane turret is left completely unattended now. And Hanser, you know, Ryze is a very bad split pusher, but he's still going to get this turret for himself.
And Ken and minions still do pretty well at making turrets drop down. Hanser now up again, 40 minions, equalize the turrets. Law Pro have to defend mid, but Coast are getting such tiny advantages, it's not stacking up.
Hit the ground in anger.
Yep.
They end up getting Signature here off a great teleport play by Rux. He does give up the top lane turret for it, though, and they don't get much off of this except for a solo kill. Worth? Question mark?
No. Exclamation point. Rux.
Yeah, it's all capital.
Turn off caps lock.
I know. His name.
Angry.
Usually wasn't. No, it's excited.
Well, it's been wild growth.
Boom. Yeah, that was super meta. That was meta. Anyway.
It goes back actually to lowercase when it goes on cooldown. Santorin starting the blue buff up. Of course, no one else on the team really needs it. Maybe Ruxy is coming by. Okay. I was wondering when they were going to start giving blues to Rux, actually. I hadn't seen it for a while.
Yeah, really the only champion on this lineup that makes good work or good use of the blue.
In the way, that 0.2 second cooldown off of Tumble, so useful.
Ooh. Oh man, can you imagine Yasuo's E? Oh.
0.9 second cooldown?
You're blowing my mind, man.
Wait, no, sorry, it's 0.09, right? Yeah.
Yes, it's that low.
That extra 100th of a second is pretty valuable. All right, so Team Coast. I want to see what happened. Like, where did Game 1 Team Coast go? Because that was the old Team Coast that was dominating everybody. They've just stopped doing cool things. It's been a couple of good ganks, and credit to Santorin and Rux. Those were great. But we're just seeing Mash and Golden Glue try to farm, sometimes getting punished for it, and then otherwise nothing else happening. LawPro, meanwhile, continue to keep control over Dragon. Their pushing's been good. They're up in turrets. Just feels like LawPro has purpose with their movements.
I don't know why I think this, but I'm pretty sure the new pick for Santorin is not 100% his style yet. I feel like he's the guy who wants to invade you as Elise or Lee Sin and bully you. He wants to find Heaven Time in his jungle and just fight him and kill him. Yeah. He thinks he's a better player mechanically and in terms of decision making. The Nunu, he spends a lot of time in his own jungle here.
He does. And the thing is, to his credit, he does a great job with ward control.
He does. He does. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like his style of play...
I agree with you. I am agreeing with you. I'm basically like starting with caveats, but saying that I agree in the end. His wards are coming out. Coast do have really good vision, and yet we're not seeing split push work. Yet we're not seeing dragons go their way. Like, the pieces are there, and then it's not coming together in the end. It's like there's bread and peanut butter and jelly, and they're like, what are these ingredients? And it's not a sandwich.
Yeah, they put the peanut butter on one side, jelly on the other, and they're like, blah, put it on a plate.
Yep. They're eating it like it's tortillas and salsa. They're mopping it up with the bread and eating it open face, which could be good, but...
I might actually do that now.
That sounds wonderful. You know what? I take it back. That's wonderful, Coast.
That's innovation.
Doing the right thing. Innovation is here. Well, Mash, he's still farming up. I mean, to be fair, you've still got a team with a Vayne. She's getting good farm, 238 CS, 2 core items done.
It's your favorite build on Lucian for Signature. Second item, IE.
Yes, please. I just wonder, though, with Ryze not being held down in the slightest, does that even matter that Mash has gold?
I don't know, because he's got the Frozen Heart completed already on Hanser.
Yep.
He's ready to get in these team fights and make a huge contribution to them.
Okay, so Dragon's in 1 minute. Infinity Edge is now done for Golden Glue. This is like the power spikiest time I think that Coast will ever have in this game.
Yeah.
If they can't make a Dragon fight work here, I don't know when they expect to start making plays this game.
2 attack speed item Vayne.
Yep.
Have the 100%
Locket's done for Santorin.
Here's the thing, is Lot, I don't think he's used a single shockwave this game. He may have used 1. Yes, he did. I think he did use 1 previously to catch Sheep out after he engaged at the Dragon. But after that, we haven't seen really any shockwaves from Laud. And he's been holding on to it for those opportune moments, but he's been farming like mad. 26 minutes in, 290 farm.
Yep.
He's looking, because he's like, this is a very low action game.
Yeah.
Farm rates, farm mid, farm rates, farm mid, back and forth.
And he's got 3 core items done now. Seraph's completed, actually upgraded all the way now. Had Merlin for a while, Zhonya's already done. He's basically unkillable.
He's a full item up coming into this next fight.
Yeah, he is.
So his abilities, and this is funny too, because when you don't clash with somebody for a long time, you don't know their damage out.
Oh, hold on. Okay, we're all right. But Golden Glue taking so much damage from Hanser. Gets completely taken out one-on-one. Now Sheep gets distance. He's got to be careful. Good damage coming through. In comes Heaven Time. There's the flash wave from Alistair. And you're seeing, you talk about, hey, I haven't seen someone for a while. Who's seen Hanser for a while?
Yes.
Only Rux.
Level 16 here. Oh, he flashes.
Flash Q. Sheep is really low.
Back in.
And the kill gets picked up. He had a CC, but he had nowhere to go. LawPro pick up 2 more kills. Looking for mid-tier 2 right now, and they can easily Dragon right after.
And they're going to go straight for this turret. And like I was saying, the end of my point to them, when you haven't seen somebody in a while, you don't really know their damage output at that moment. You can kind of guess it off of the items you have and they have, but then when the item disparity is that big between them, you're like, whoa, 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 the Orianna just chunked me.
Oh, unfortunate. They just walked barely by that ward. LawPro knows about this. Coast Desperation Baron. Not going to happen here. LawPro said, yep, we got vision. We're good. Yeah, Hauntzer's gigantic.
Yeah.
They didn't stop the Rise. He was pushed up all game. We saw some ganks, but it didn't hold him down.
They didn't stop the Orianna from farming?
Nope.
That's the thing, too, is when we go back to the whole idea that Santorin on Nunu, not a gank-centric champion. It's an objective control champion, and they're trying to push that now with this Baron.
Oh my god, they all just recalled. They could get this straight up. Rise stopped his TP.
Nope.
Or his recall. That is just a Baron going straight up. Blood-Boiled Vein kills that quick. That'll give him some breathing room. That could really just happen.
Yeah, it was a free Baron. Probably one of the freest Barons you could have. The smite was not even in range. And they leveraged that objective control Nunu, which is something that they have to do this game.
Yeah.
Because I said it's not gank-centric. It's not really invade fight-centric. It's invade steal buff-centric. So when you look at that Nunu and Santorin's style, and the style of Coast, Rux is down. He's not getting a whole bunch of ganks. He got one top, but they aren't going to be meaningful ganks. It's like, I got to flash, then I got to kill, but it's not over and over again. I'm not keeping him down.
So at the end of this all, we have a 4,500 gold lead for LawPro. A Rise that is gigantic. He's going to have a Seraph's Embrace in a second here. Coast, though, they have this time with the Baron buff to say, you know what? Screw you guys. VS Swords here on Vayne. The build is basically done if you care for Golden Glue. He can get a Bloodthirster next and be even tankier, but this is that Coast power spike once again. They did get caught out. Haunter got that solo kill, and they got the pick off afterwards on the Sheep, but they were still powerful, and you saw them convert to a Baron.
Yeah, LawPro did get a dragon off of it. A little bit of consolation prize for
the gold went close.
So they end up 5k up, but at the same time, there is a Baron buff spinning on Coast.
Golden Glue split pushing top lane, level 16. And again, this is the double Sightstone team, so Coast should be able to keep the vision up to keep that split push safe. 3 pink wards up for the blue team. No deep wards yet, though. They haven't really had time pushing their lanes out.
Wow. Heaven Time went for a Last Whisper. He's going for the solo queue Kha'Zix carry build.
Wow.
He's like, I'm going to shred with a Brutalizer. I have cooldown reduction boots. I'm going to get myself my jungle item and a Last Whisper. How much armor is there on the side of Coast? There's just not a single armor.
Enough to get crushed, but yeah, not enough to not get crushed by Kha'Zix.
Yeah, exactly. The Last Whisper is very early, but it's going to scale up alongside the team.
Yeah. Honestly, Armor Pen is kind of all you can buy for caster builds like this. So
did it again with the Emax second.
Yeah, interesting. Bit of a different style for Heaven Time. This one's not the 1-3-1, so
he's putting the bread straight in the jelly and peanut butter.
Yeah, he's dipping it into the jar and saying, you know what? This is how sandwiches are made. Knives not required, just dexterity.
And then Uncrustables were made.
You just can't toast the bread, though. It wouldn't fit in the jar.
Yeah.
You ever had toasted peanut butter sandwiches? They're so good.
I imagine the peanut butter would be runny, but hey, I'm making myself hungry. It's been a long day.
It's actually wonderful. Signature now going to split push in the bottom lane, and to be fair, and to LawPro's credit, they are holding against Baron nicely. Coast might have just wanted to wait, though, saying, you know, you're up 5k. We'll use Baron just to farm and hold up for a little while. Dragon will be respawning after the Baron buff ends. Looks like LawPro still want to be the aggressive team here.
Yeah, they're being really far up despite not having Laud anywhere near them or Patoy. They both backed.
Difficulty as well is that these guys are both fighting tooth and nail for that ward coverage. You see actually a lot of wards in Coast's jungle, and they keep sweeping anything that Patoy puts down. So it is actually hard for LawPro to really make their way in on the map. And it's part of why it's slowing down. They have to respect a Yasuo flank engage, an Alistar flank engage. 1 3-man knockup wins the team fight.
Yeah. There are a lot of different ways that Coast could win a team fight, but LawPro at the same time, they are going to favor small skirmishes.
Yeah.
They're going to want, we could split you 2 and 3, and they would absolutely love that on LawPro's side. And
Rise versus anything is basically ideal. The problem is, it better be Rise versus Vayne, or Matt's going to win any other duels in this map.
Oh, he's going to face check.
Time phase checks, gets knocked up in the air, stun against the wall. Here's the engage. Santorin knocked up. Absolute does a little bit, but Sheep is in the front. Great shockwave. Rux nearly goes down, but there's the 2-man Yasuo ult. Patoy forced to run exhaust on signature mash. Behind a wind wall just goes down to Haunter and Laud. 1 for 0. Flash engaged by Haunter. The knockback. Golden Glue trying to run slow misses, but Laud could get the flash dissonance onto 2. Nice knockup by Sheep, but he's got a flash away as well. Heaven Time is close. Flashes in. The damage coming through. Haunter gets the root, and it's a 2-0 for LawPro.
They come up really big off of that play. There isn't any other objectives on the map for them to get, so they're going to have to stick around, kill some jungle creeps, and push the wave out.
So you have two things you can do. You can push and try to squeak by a turret right as people respawn, or you run to the jungle, you get all the wards in the right spot, and you hope that's enough for yourself. Looks like LOLpro are going to stay for mid, but this is a risk. Zig is low, Coast have healed, and Vayne's up in 7 seconds.
Wow, look at that. That chunked Rux down so hard. He actually has an Athenes for some magic resistance.
Yeah. You can see that push didn't do a single darn thing. He had a little bit of time for Patoy to get ward coverage back, but LOLpro, they only get the 2 for nothing.
Ooh. 4-item Orianna right now, plus boots, against 2-item Yasuo with the Negatron Cloak. That is that middle lane matchup right now.
Yeah, 3-0-1 Orianna.
Zhonya's Hourglass completed. Multiple defensive options available to himself with the shield. So the team fight went really, really well for them. They ended up getting the ball in the right place. Multiple man shockwave, chunking Rux out right out of the fight.
Yep.
And then he actually got the ball on the other side of the wind wall and was able to blow Mash up. Like right there, it's on the other side of the wall. He could reposition it during the fight and it wouldn't be stopped by him.
That's all kinds of cute.
And that's exactly what happened last time.
Well, so far, Laud's been a pretty darn good Orianna this game.
It's been a darn good Zed, darn good Orianna.
Yep.
Saying darn really threw me off there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to take the word he said.
It sounded like you said donger for a second.
Yeah. I don't know if he's good at the donger, though.
Haven't seen it in a while. Okay. All right. Well, again, a lull here as Dragon and Baron come up in under a minute. Team Coast reset themselves, saying we keep losing team fights. I don't know how they get back in. I don't think Baron Stinks can just win you a game, though, because you have to actually kill the base to do stuff. Baron's nice, but only if you convert it. Mash wants to go in on Zig, dashes backwards, but Mash really wants this fight. Heaven Time takes gigantic crits to the face. He's got to be careful.
Patoy soaks up a lot of damage for his team, and he's still ready to go.
Wow, so Bloodthirster's third for Mash. He's really defensive. I actually like this adaptation, because it lets him survive the Rise in Ori much better. That's actually really smart. I like this build.
They're going to go straight for this Dragon, the objective control, the neutral objective control from Coast. Finally leveraging it a bit. Baron up in 14 seconds, though. 12 seconds.
Oh my gosh, and they're recalling. This is, oh my god, it's catastrophic. The bot lane is both back in base right now. There's a pig cord right there on Baron, though. Has to get swept away. Baron's alive. Fentor nearly gets caught. Baron's up. Team's coming. LOLpro actually do not capitalize on what I thought could have been a game-winning possible blunder by Coast, but they recover. LOLpro now starting on Baron. Oh my gosh, and Laud is just holding the mid lane. Can LOLpro bait this fight? I feel like this should be a battle they can win.
Oh, Mash goes hard.
He goes in. He's going to be all right. Bloodthirster shield is gone. Laud's still holding the mid lane.
He's trying to wave clear at the same time before he joins the fight.
But this is so good by Coast, though. They got the inside track on Baron. They're getting rid of the ward coverage. Perfect.
They kind of changed that around by Sheep coming in from the left side.
Yeah, they forced LOLpro around. Great calls.
Great positioning, great calls by the team of Coast at the moment.
Now they're separated, though. Mash and Santorin on the wrong side. LOLpro can go hard for this. They don't quite realize how good their positioning is. They could face tank that turret and get it to half right now.
It looks like the minion wave is there. Mash nowhere in sight. Gonna walk straight around it.
Buys a little bit of time. Vayne and Alistar are coming in. Signature giving a lot of respect because, hey, a headbutt pulverize means he dies to Yasuo. He has to respect Alistar at all times. Everyone on LOLpro does, except for Hansa and Patoy.
The exhausts are available, though, on both members of LOLpro.
But it buys so much time for Vayne to DPS, I feel like even exhausting Yasuo doesn't do it for you. Mash can follow up so easily.
And he has shown that he's not afraid to be in the front line and go hard, and the Bloodthirster is going to help him out in that regard.
There we go. Bot lane tier 2 taking damage. Good wave clear from Rux so far, and you can see the respect from LOLpro's movements. They know to be afraid of Coast comp. Mash is playing it well so far in these fights. Not getting reached by Rise. Zig trying to force him away. Buys a little bit of time. Look at that, actually. Vayne's so far back. Allows him to get a couple shots in this turret. Baron's still up.
That wind wall will not be available.
I think it'll be up for the next wave.
For a little bit now. Be up just in time.
Oof, glorious. We need to replay that one. I heard you guys. I heard that. Challenger veterans know what that's about. Props to you guys for watching the shows. Zoomed in 1/4 speed. You know what to do. Right now we got a siege, the engage goes in. They don't want Haunter though. There's a knockup onto 3 from Patoy, 2-man Shockwave. The front line being pulled back and Santorin took a whole bunch of damage. Haunter with a bunch of shields, maybe more than he needed. Some of those goes to waste, but now bot tier 2 down to half.
And that pushes Santorin all the way back to base. He blew his flash, but look at this.
So 3 ults down on both sides. Signature not gonna push his in as well, only Heaven Time, which isn't really a very important ultimate to be fair. And LawPro so far not getting too far in, shield on a Haunter. Good attacks coming down. There's so few ways to engage for Coast that LawPro get bot tier 2. They're up 5,000 gold. It's been growing a little bit here. Yes! That's it.
Man, Rux is just rolling in dough, Rux City.
Is that the dough he's making his peanut butter jelly sandwich with?
No, but it'll buy a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. At the same time, though, Baron.
And this Baron is dying real fast. LawPro are coming, though. This could be a gigantic battle. Heaven Time's around. The Baron goes down. Wind wall on the side.
No mana.
Chase. Yeah, there's no mana. Heaven Time, but he goes in. That could have been catastrophic. They might just get the fight, though. Knockup comes out. And as Santorin gonna buy a lot of time. Down goes Heaven Time. 5v4. Coast gonna go in.
Oh my god!
3-man Shockwave. Double kill, though, for Mash. Sheep buys time, and he is chasing. Exhaust is on. Patoy knocked up. Mash is not done chasing. In comes Golden Glue. Down goes Patoy. And Coast have made their way in this game.
They're gonna get this turret. They're gonna get at least 2 turrets. They might possibly get all the way up to the inhibitor. Heaven Time went way too hard with no mana. There was no reason to do that.
They could maybe even close the game. So much damage this comp, 23 seconds on the respawn. It's at least an inhib.
And it looks like it. They do have a lot of auto attack speed here on the Vayne and the Nunu, but they're not going to go for it. They're going to back off.
Top tier 2.
Ooh, top tier 2 is their next objective now. And a sigh of relief for LawPro at the moment. But at the same time, Heaven Time needs to check himself in those situations.
That was crazy by Kha'Zix there. He should have recognized that fight was not winnable at all. And a gigantic mistake cost LawPro a whole ton of gold. Coast finally have their first lead of the game. 1,200 gold up.
And he has no mana here. He's going to leap, and he's out.
We thought he could separate Golden Glue. That was miscommunication. Shockwave could have zoned all of Coast, and they could have soloed Golden Glue there. But they were not on the same page. That did not work well right there. That could have been a good play, but it was miscommunication.
But Laud was way too far back for that play to be executed. At the same time, there isn't AoE slow available to Heaven Time. He's not able to get out of that fight. He's sacrificing himself. And they did get a multi-man Shockwave. And you saw how much damage it did. But the lack of follow-up, though. Like, that would have been the Shockwave at the start.
Right.
Just add that damage on. It still didn't look like it would have been a winnable fight for LawPro at that moment because of the status of their resource bars across the board. Signature was in the same boat.
It's a weird one to call, right? And obviously Heaven Time made one call, the rest made the other, and that's what happened. It's a battle that I really think could go either way. Windwall was down, you had Shockwave and a team grouped up in a choke point. Kha'Zix doesn't necessarily need mana just to be there and say, hey, deal with me. But either way, again, mixed call. Coast came out ahead massively there.
I feel like his positioning was absolutely terrible, though.
Yeah, he was too far forward, and I mean, it was a mistake. Let's be real on that one. Bot lane tier 2 goes down. 1,000 gold for Coast.
They're gonna go get Dragon, too.
It's gonna make it more like 2,000 gold for Coast. They are clawing their way back in on this one. Couple mistakes from LawPro, but also the patience to play the late game objective game. I mean, they gave up a lot early on, but they're making it back.
6.
Oh man,
there's 4 6s at the top. They took an extra
There were
turret.
6 dragons as well.
Yep, absolutely. Just
well, there now it's really nice. 7, 6, 6, 7, 6, 7.
Oh, but at the same time, though, Heaven Time. We talked about his build earlier, where it's the solo Q damage build. He's not going to be very durable jumping into the team fight like that. Now he finally has some defensive stats in his inventory.
Yep.
Needed those a long time ago for the play he wanted to make.
Oh sure. LawPro, though, they have given up so much here. Anything they build might be too little too late. Yes, you've got good damage from Zig. But I don't know if it's enough. He's got to break through a Windwall. He's got to break through an Alistair and a Nunu. Rux giving people durability.
GAs on both Rux and on Mash.
Yep. That's the cool thing about Vayne is you can build defensively, almost overly defensively early on and get carried by Silver Bolts and Blood Boil. You're seeing that here. Mash started out 0-2-1. He's just picked up 2 kills and an assist without dying. Going towards his, hopefully, Eye Edge instead of Last Whisper next. Gold and blue just easily crushing minion waves. So how do Coast now turn the screws? Game 1 was so convincing and easy. Game 2, it seems like they were lost. Game 3, up until 12 minutes ago, seems like they were lost. Now, finding their footing, see what Coast can do.
I feel like this series back and forth, though, the team that ends up winning is the one that made the less substantial throw. I'm just going to flat out say it, because game 1, it was just capitalization by Coast. They did a really good job. Game 2, it was multiple bad calls back-to-back. Coast made a bad one. LawPro made a bad one. Then Coast made another bad one at the very end. And LawPro, they capitalized. These teams capitalize off each other's mistakes all the time. Right there, huge mistake by Heaventime.
Yep.
And the pressure of Coast to make that Baron call was good. Like, that was a great call. Good credit to them, but an absolutely terrible call by LawPro. And now the game's kind of collapsed around. They had a good gold lead, and it just got completely swung in the opposite direction. And that type of mistake, that one mistake, could cost you the entire game.
It absolutely could. And think about if the series goes to 2-2 after this one. Assuming Coast wins this game, LawPro wins game 4, and you're like, that one Baron call could have been the series right then and there. Coast now gonna go in. Sheep, headbutt, pops the ulti early. Wind Wall is out, but Coast gonna have to actually back up off this one.
They're gonna chase.
Missing a couple of cooldowns, and I think LawPro should. Sheep should be fairly squishy, but they get right out.
No, they disengage it.
Whimsy Alistair. Pretty scary.
Sheep missing the headbutt pulverize combo, but at the same time, it only would have knocked up one member. It didn't look like it was a completely priority target for them.
No. They need good shockwaves. They can't just hit them whenever.
Or pulverizes.
Yeah, good pulverizes. Multi-man Yasuo ults. I think it's required here for Golden Cliff. We just sit at this 2,500 gold lead. Coast barely ahead. Baron buff timing out. It's back up in a minute.
So Coast's late game team fighting is still good. Like when I was talking about Santorin's Nunu, it's that early game pressure that Coast has always thrived off of, and what gave them such a high KDA during the regular season was that aggression that he brought to the table. Now, the fact that they made that great Baron call, and I believe he is the Baron shot caller for these types of things, he did come up really big off of that with the Nunu. And he's 3-0-3, so you know, all props to him with 100% kill participation.
And Heaventime
now,
he wants to flank. The rest of his team going to defend. Mid inhibitor going to be attacked very soon by Team Coast. And they have zoned back LawPro, who have to go through this choke, but to go through an Alistair and a Nunu could be suicide.
Back up, though.
Mash taking this one down. There's the knock up onto Hanser. Now they're going to try to go for this one. Windwall's there, and there's the engage back onto Lot, who Zhonya's at low health, and Mash is safe. He goes for Heaventime, who stealths out, and Rux is forced to revive already. 1-for-0, now a 1-for-1 as Mash is destroying people. Heaventime does go down, but Rise is also dealing plenty. It is a 3-on-3. Coast are stuck inside the base. They kill the inhib. Can Lod and Co do more right here? Hanser knocked up. He is taking so much damage, forced to flash away. He goes down to Rux, and now Lod is in a bad spot as well. One hit from dead. Mash trying to get the silver bolts in. That will be the kill. That is only one member left alive now for LawPro.
That is the Vayne main of Mash right there. And Sheep, he's going to try to take this turret up. They might get one off of this, but he's going to take it for as long as he can.
But the thing is, they've got 30 seconds of this 3-on-1. Can Patoy even defend this on Braum? The new minion wave is here. The second Nexus turret is available as the minions come on in. This could be the game. There's the headbutt. Sheep in the front with the shield. There's the second Nexus turret. And at 46 minutes in, this should be the game. Team Coast now up 2 games to 1 in the best of 5. And they are 1 game away from the spring promotion tournament.
And you know that Mash and Rux want to get that 3rd place spot.
Yeah.
They've been in this situation before. The game went all 5 games, and this game, a little less convincing. It's still not 100% the Coast we saw before.
Yeah. Early game was very suspect, the same early game we saw in game 2, honestly, but they turned it around 30 minutes in. And if we were worried about Team Coast tilting in this series, like we saw against Teammate yesterday, they've said no, they actually came back from behind in the middle of a game. They came back from a crushing defeat in game 2 and held it together. And now it just looks like Team Coast are ready to go to work.
Yeah, and you could tell there, watching and looking at their faces as they got up, that nobody is completely happy with that victory or defeat. It wasn't earned completely.
I mean, I think it's earned for sure. Yes, okay, it was a mistake that let you in, but the fact that they held it together, they got down, they got behind early on, but held it in and said, well, look, we can just keep farming, we can keep getting the items, wait for the pick, wait for the catch, found it. The team fights after were absolutely great. 2,500 gold due to the Fed Rise, like, that's not a free game by any means, and yet Coast earned it. So I think they can still take pride in that victory, but they know how close the series is.
Yeah, I think a big thing here going into that fourth game is heaven time. When you make a mistake like that,
yeah,
you just have to keep your head high. You know, people are going to be like, you know what you did wrong.
Yeah.
Let's just work on a communication. Let's get it hashed out. Because they had a great position and great hold on that game. The call was just a little off there, a little desynced for just 1 second, and that's what cost them the game.
That's true. Now I've got to think about Law Pro shot calling as well here. Best of 5, they've got to win the next 2 straight if they want to make it and win 3rd place and get in the promo tournament. Now, coming into the series, I thought Law Pro's ability to end games was great. It seemed so crisp overall, watching them in the quarters, and they had a hard time playing from behind. Every time they've actually been behind now in this series, the end comes quickly, actually. They don't do well from behind, really. But they're also not closing games out cleanly now. These games where they do have the early lead, where they're getting every dragon, where they're getting good lanes. So I kind of wonder what's going to happen for Law Pro now.
Yeah, we definitely have to see what happens in this game 4, because it depends on which one shows up. If the calls are clean, do they get that early lead and close it out?
Yeah.
Because they have to make a big early lead for themselves. Because you saw that mistake there. Coast just slingshotted back into the lead and absolutely just obliterated them.
Gone. Yeah. So Law Pro, I want to see actually more aggression from them when they get these leads and get that lead farther. They've let the game slip away by being a little bit reckless here and being a little bit passive. So we're going to see what happens in this one. But for now, we're going to send it over to the experts at the analyst desk for more on that win by Coast.
Thanks, Freak. Another pretty dramatic and pretty back and forth win there by Coast. I want to look at what it was that they were trying to achieve with their team comp there, because it seemed a little disjointed. Having Alistair,
you want to look at that, huh?
I want to take a look at the Vayne pick with all of that, because it was an odd choice that required them basically to scale to the point that Vayne could roll through the team with a GA. So, any thoughts on that? Why they went for that specifically?
My biggest question mark is that Kog'Maw was available here, and Kog'Maw's just such a strong AD carry right now. I mean, I guess you chalk it up to this is Mash's favorite AD carry is Vayne, and he just wanted to, go with the comfort pick.
Okay, so when you pick Nunu, the Nunu composition is to protect your AD, zone, and let champions with long range get all their DPS in. Kog'Maw, Twitch, and Tristana all fall under that category. Vayne, not so much. So it felt like they wanted a Yasuo comp with the Alistair, which finally they let through. And then they were like, wait, let's take Nunu because it's like OP. And then they're like, wait, we want to take Vayne because we think that's OP too. And it's like, well, how do we win now? How do they win? Well, you just take 2 free Barons, it looks like, and win a couple team fights.
Well, we've had the same story of the team that's behind working through the blind spot in the vision coverage of the team that's ahead today and getting these Barons to come back. It seems to be a recurring theme.
Now, another thing that you had mentioned in the previous segment, Koobs, is the idea that they need to ban out either the Nidalee or the Zed. They decided to go with the Nidalee this time. Zed was left up, and Law decided not to go for it. So what's the thinking behind going with Ori in that wave clear as opposed to sticking to an assassin that worked?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I think the thought process is, let's change it up, keep them off beat. But to me, a player like Golden Glue, a player like Laud, yes, they can play Orianna, but they're not utility players. They are players who need to play assassins to be effective. And I think it shows when Laud is on an assassin, he is far more effective. It's not that his Orianna is bad by any means. It's just on assassins, he's probably 100 times better. And so, especially in this game coming up, I think he has to go back to it if it's open.
All right, Kobe, you had mentioned just before that question the Baron, sneaking Barons through vision, things like that. So we're actually going to pull up a replay here from 39 minutes. Baron fight followed immediately by a 3-0 team fight. So if you could just walk us through this one.
All right. Well, let's roll the clip then and see what unfolds. As you can see, no vision there for Team LoLPro. Oh, this is the one, actually. So Kha'Zix with 0 mana. Even if he got a 1v1 with Yasuo right there, he would lose that 1v1. That was 100% suicide mission right there. Might have been a misclick. And then this is, they got the Baron, and it's easy for Vayne to clean this up. Vayne is very good at running people down, especially when she does have the Blood Boil of Nunu. So
and she's got the passive on top of the Blood Boil. It's
yeah,
insane movement.
If you dangle that advantage out in front of them, the team with the Vayne is gonna jump on it very quickly.
I feel like Heaven Time was like, guys, watch this. Just kidding. I have no mana. So that's unfortunate, but it happens.
Well, so now we find ourselves in a 2-1 situation. Koobs, you actually found yourself in this very same situation back when you guys were running through this tournament. When you're down 2-1 in a best-of-5 series and you know you need to pick up the next 2 games, what's that like? What are you, especially like as a coach or as a mentor, what are you telling your team that they need to think about going into these next 2 matches?
Gotta give them a lot of whipped cream, Dash, a lot of whipped cream. But, you know, it's 2-1. You have nothing to lose. The pressure is not on the team down. The pressure's on the team who has 2 wins because they're only a game away. So if you're LoL Pro, I think you stick to your game plan. You get Laud on an assassin this game. You give him the 1v1 against Golden, and you just continue to play a game. Please ward Baron. That's basically what they have to do as well. Like, whichever team wards the Baron, I think, will win. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but LoL Pro just needs to stay positive and remember, 1 game at a time.
I gotta say, for LoL Pro, Hanser is doing great. Hanser is time and again outperforming in that top lane, and if they get him on another champion that can carry, if he's ahead, then it will definitely work out for them.
All right, well, we'll see if they come back into this 4th game with that mentality of nothing to lose. We do have to take another short break, and when we return, it's Game 4 between Team LoL Pro and Team Coast. With one more win, Coast will clinch a trip to the Spring Promotion Tournament. See if they make it right after this.
Rux nearly goes down, but there's the 2-man Yasuo ult, but Toy forced to run exhaust on signature mash. Down goes Heaven Time, 5v4, Coast gonna go
Oh
in.
my god!
3-man Shockwave, double kill though for Mash. 1-for-0, now a 1-for-1 as Mash is destroying people. Heaven Time does go down, but Rise is also dealing plenty